Welcome to Can, the marketing podcast. I'm Ben from Human Digital, the B2B marketing agency.
And I'm Steph from Q Marketing, making brands shine since ages ago.
This week, we're talking about luxury, where it came from, why it works, and why some of the biggest luxury brands in the world might be losing their shine.
So whether you're dreaming of a Birkin, a pair of R.M. Williams boots, or just wondering why a plain black coat from the row costs $5,000, this one's for you.
Remember, we release a new episode every week, so make sure you hit that subscribe button. Happy Wednesday, Steph.
Happy Wednesday, Ben. How's it going?
Good. It is. We're full swing into the year. I think, everyone is telling me that they're busy, which is great. So yes, the year is off, if it wasn't already. What have you been doing this week? You're back in Auckland?
Yeah, I was just thinking about that actually. One of the things that really seems to have ramped up in the last 7 days for me is I've just noticed all of the networking events are happening now. So it's like people have come out of that quiet period in January. They've come back from their holidays, they've kind of cleared the decks, and all of a sudden March is filling up. I'm seeing so many like marketing opportunities, business meetups, etc., all happening in March. So yeah, it just hit the ground running, right?
I love it. And I'm loving this power suit you've got on today. This is
thanks.
it's really cute.
It matches my power pants that I bought at Zara when I was overseas in Australia.
I love it. It's such a good look.
There we go. So what have I been doing? I came back from Australia really late on Thursday and promptly did nothing for the rest of the weekend. Just kind of enjoyed the last of the summer sun and went up to Tawharanui and hang out at the beach. But unfortunately, I think all of that travel made me sick. And so that knocked me for six. I'm feeling all right now, but it was a pretty rough 3 days this week. So, that's so it's been pretty quiet at my end. I am on that topic of networking. I'm heading off to my first, actually inspired by you, Ben.
Oh yeah.
My first LinkedIn local event tonight.
Nice.
What can I expect?
Brilliant. It's such a great event. It is basically imagine LinkedIn, but in person.
Which is hence the power suit, right? I'm like, right.
Exactly. I love it. I'm going to look like my profile photo.
Yeah. Well, I should have worn my stripy top, but anyway. So that'll be exciting. I'm looking forward to going. It's a 3-hour event, which is actually a long time to make contact with people.
It is. Well, you don't have to be there for the whole thing. They have a great range of wine. Like the ticket price is worth it. Great wine, great food. Yeah, and all of the people that jump into your comments are there in person. I think it's just such a good format.
Well,
really
Steve,
good. And a speaker as well.
The speaker will be really good. It's Alicia McKay, and I don't know if you're familiar with her, but she's awesome. She's a wonderful writer. I follow her Substack actually, and that's one of the reasons I'm going. I'm really interested to hear what she has to say. But I was
maybe get her on the pod.
Oh yeah, we could.
Yeah.
I was overheard this afternoon as I was deep in GL coding and spreadsheets going, I really feel like a glass of rosé in the sun. So maybe this is my opportunity.
Yeah, I don't think there'll be any sun because it's inside, but I did have a delicious rosé last time. So I think you're in luck.
Brilliant. Okay, now what's happening in Ben's world? You have not had a quiet week.
No, so I was in Sydney over the weekend visiting a friend who was visiting from London and did Mardi Gras, which was amazing. I've done many Mardi Gras. This one was good. Didn't actually physically go to the parade, but we watched it from the TV in the hotel room.
You must be getting old, surely.
I am old. And but the highlight was definitely I went to a party and Mel C from the Spice Girls was the DJ.
Oh my God, that's amazing. Did you fanboy over her?
How did you? Yeah, fanboy girled. They them'd all over Mel C. It was really good. It was a lot of fun. So that was good. I also did a little bit of culture over the weekend. So I went to the Museum of New South Wales and saw the Ron Newick exhibit. So Ron is he's an Australian artist. So he was born in 1958 in Melbourne, and he's based now in the UK. But he essentially makes hyper-realistic sculptures of people and animals with amazing detail, like skin, hair, paws, but his work also alters scale. So figures are either much larger or much smaller. And his themes explore human emotion and experience. So birth, death, vulnerability, isolation, relationships.
Deep after Mardi Gras.
It is. I mean, it was a good juxtaposition. But if you're in Sydney, definitely check it out. I think it's on for a little while.
Okay.
Yeah, and there's so he has that hyper realistic kind of people sculptures, but then he also has these massive collection of fighting dogs. They're probably like 4 times the size of a person. Really confronting.
Wow.
So definitely check that out if you're in Sydney. And yeah, and what's in the news? I do have a show and tell as well. So
Oh,
as part
yes.
of the research for our last episode on nostalgia, I did go into McDonald's to get one of the Friends boxes. So this is the little package that comes inside. It's not a blind box because I was actually trying to figure out who it
Yeah,
was.
but it's not
Um,
immediately obvious, is it? Like, it's
it's not. In fact, none of them are really that obvious. I mean, they all
Mm.
kind of look very generic.
They're a bit
Um,
Miffy kind of style.
they are. They're cute. They're cutesy.
Yeah.
But yeah, plastic, fantastic. And so this is the Rachel, which I think. I mean, she's definitely my favorite female Friends character. I mean, I do. I relate to all of the Friends characters. There's a bit of every character in me.
I've got questions. This doesn't even look
Yes,
like any of the Friends characters. So have they
true.
collaborated with an artist or something? There's got to be something behind this where they've
I don't
collaborated.
know.
It's in
Let me
this.
look at the
It's in the
small
style.
print. It says it's made in China. No surprises there. Um, yeah, no. Maybe we need to look into it. I did like kind of like they wrap it in the little burger wrapper, which is quite
Okay,
cute.
that
So
is a cute. Yeah, I
yeah,
mean, no one would ever accuse us of being investigative journalists. I have to say.
no. I love this box. I've got a little central perk thing and little duckies and monkeys. I think it's cute. That it wasn't obvious who this character was, but yeah, it is. I did some research and I found it is Rachel.
Just very quickly, what did you have to buy to qualify to get? Was it like a combo?
Ah, yeah. So there's 2 combos. I wasn't really in the mood for a Big Mac, so I got the McNugget meal. So it was McNuggets with fries and a drink and a character, and it was from memory about just over $15.
Okay. All right. Yep. Cool.
Yeah,
I mean, look, I'm pleased. I'm so pleased that you're quite good at this, picking up one for the team and
I
really,
do love.
you do follow through on
Yeah,
a purchase, actually, I have to say.
I do like it. And also our podcast editor, Bruna, also purchased one and she commented on the LinkedIn post already. So she got Chandler. So yeah, a very fun little bit of nostalgia there.
Nice work. Well done, Ben. Okay, let's go to the news segment. What have we got today?
Yeah, what's happening in the news? What's happening in your news?
Well, I like to report on what I see out in the market, and it's actually a really nice segue leading on from the McDonald's chat. So I don't know if this is just a LinkedIn echo chamber as the world that we live in, but this new
Mm.
McDonald's campaign that has come out that it doesn't have the logo and just has nuggets and just
Mm.
has the word. It's like it's. Have you seen it? It's
I
out of
haven't
home.
seen it.
Oh, it's amazing.
Mm.
So it's just literally a red out of home screen with the
Mhm.
words chicken nuggets. And then that's it. And that's literally in the McDonald's colors and there's no logo. And so
Wow.
that is the epitome. It's a bit like you must have done the Snickers case study at some stage around distinctive brand assets and how you can take the Snickers logo away and people will still recognize it. This is the epitome of anyone who's doing large scale advertising where you don't even need your logo and people get the message. So it's
Love it.
all in my feed and like, and then I partly wonder if the normal people in the public actually care, but I thought it was
Mm.
really exciting.
I think they do. I love when logos are excluded and you can still realize the brand. That is a key sign that your brand is strong. And
Absolutely.
obviously it's chicken McNuggets, so you've still got the Mc
Well, that
in
yeah.
there.
I mean, I'm paraphrasing, but
Yeah,
but you know what I mean.
it's brilliant.
And then another campaign news. Outward Bound have had an again, motion sickness do it again, Ben. So
Mm,
we're going into award season. Motion
mm.
sickness have created a brand new campaign for Outward Bound. Now it's really interesting. It's I can't remember the tagline. I'll have to bring it up. Something around unleash your weapon. It's become a weapon. And it's
Ah, weapon. Yeah,
yeah, and
I saw that and I was like, ooh, in this day and age. But hey,
it's really interesting because I looked at it and it's immediately impactful. But I tell you what, it's not
mm,
necessarily. is it doesn't immediately look like Outward Bound. Now, Outward
Mm,
Bound's previous advertising is all very much, obviously in the outdoors,
yeah.
and it's located in the Marlborough Sounds, and it's a beautiful location. This is so different, and I
Mm,
sort of commented on Sam's post and said, I'm really interested to understand what the brief for that was, because it is
mm,
we've just gone from McDonald's being consistently distinctive and using their assets.
mm,
Outward Bound has gone what appears to be really campaign driven and not remotely like the experience that you will have. And
mm.
so I think
It
that's
looks quite urban.
mm,
When I see it, I think like urban jungle kind of, yeah. I mean, there's people with, I think I've seen face paint on them, or like they're kind of like
yeah.
almost like in a military type setting.
I understand I'm going to say that I think the idea behind this is you become the best version of yourself, like you become a weapon at whatever, at certain
Mm.
things as a result of doing Outward Bound. As you say, interesting territory.
Yeah, especially in the time that we're in at the moment.
Yeah,
But it's
exactly.
making an impact, and it's having a conversation.
Well,
So
we're chatting about it. New Zealand's
we
most
are.
most listened to marketing podcast.
Yes, we are.
Okay, give us the actual news. Do we have anything in AI today?
Well, I don't have any AI news, but hot off the heels of the Australian Open, we have the next big event for Australia, which is the F1 in Melbourne, which is happening this weekend or last weekend if you're listening to this when it goes live. So the Melbourne F1 race draws hundreds of thousands of spectators over about 4 days. 500,000 they're saying is the audience. And why it matters for brands, I mean, high concentration, global customers, strong international TV and streaming. There's a lot of brand activation. So
Oh,
there's
money.
so many opportunities. So you've got experiential marketing and on-site activations. It's kind of like that whole festival in the park thing with food and entertainment and interactive zones around Albert Park. You've got immersive brand experiences, so lifestyle lounges, car displays, gaming arenas. You've got premium hospitality and B2B networking. So there's a lot of corporate boxes there, VIP suites, paddock
Mm.
club access, branded lounges, executive guest experiences. You've got broadcast and media integration. You've got a lot of big Australian and global advertisers. You've got trackside and event branding. You've got team and driver partnerships. You've got cultural and influencer marketing. You've got citywide brand activation. You've got content and social media, technology and innovation. And, it is a smorgasbord of marketing
And
and
a
brands.
lot of money. Like there is some serious cash that
Serious cash. And
gets
I
spent.
would actually say that the F1 is probably more accessible potentially than the AO. Controversially, I think
Mm.
more. So the AO, I think, skews to more your super high end, where car racing is a little bit more, let's say, blue collar, but a little bit more wider. Like I think there's part of Australia that just think the tennis is not for them. So yeah, you're skewing into a different audience as well
I
with
like your
the
take on that.
F1.
That's thought provoking. I wouldn't have thought about it like that, but I like your take on it. I have an incredibly random and unrelated fact about the F1 in Melbourne, which will come as no surprise. Would you like to
Oh
hear it?
yeah, let us
So
have it.
one of my team members lives in Albert Park. She's locked in for 5 days, can't leave, can't get out of her can't get out of her
Oh
apartment.
my god, wow.
That's what
She
they
must be able to walk out, but she can't
I
drive out.
imagine I actually didn't ask, but she's like, I'm not coming into the office. I can't leave the apartment for 5 days. Because I
Wow,
mean, it kind of makes sense, right? Because it's on actual roads, and so they build you out. So, there you go.
mm,
That's my fun random fact.
brilliant.
Okay,
So, speaking of lots of
high end.
brands advertising at high-end events, this week, what are we talking about?
Oh, this. I mean, I feel like this is your time to shine. Luxury marketing.
Mhm.
This is so up your alley. I'm very excited to hear what you have to say about this.
Yes, so luxury, I think let's take everyone back.
Yes.
So luxury, let's talk about the origin of luxury.
What is
So
it for a start?
luxury,
Yeah.
it actually didn't begin with logos. It began with power. So
Mm.
historically, luxury goods were reserved for royalty and the aristocrats, and there were laws in Europe that regulated who could even wear certain fabrics or colors. So silk, fur, gold, embroidery, they were symbols of social hierarchy. And modern luxury, as we know it today, emerged in the 19th century in France and Italy, which is why a lot
Ah,
of these mainstay brands are French and Italian.
yeah.
Think Louis Vuitton, Gucci, etc., where craftsmanship became commercialized. And Louis Vuitton began as a trunk maker for the Parisian elites,
Yes.
and Hermès started with saddlery for European nobility. And so the brands were built on craft mastery, like actually making really high quality products, scarcity, social
Mm,
signaling, and heritage. So luxury has always been about distinction. It's simply not expensive, it's exclusive,
yeah.
cultural, and symbolic.
And this is really interesting, and you're right about the. I think a lot of luxury brands, what they have in common is the ability to they've got heritage, and so
Mm.
truly luxurious brands have got a very strong heritage that they lean into, which
Mhm.
leads into. I mean, it's in doing the research for this episode, it's a really interesting one because harder for more modern brands to they can be premium, but
Mm.
not necessarily luxury. You know, like I feel like
Mm.
there's a just it's I it would be you can build a luxury brand, but it will take time because you've got to have that, like you say, that exclusivity element to it.
Does take time, but you can build in exclusivity. And I think one example of a modern luxury brand is the Row. So the Row is a clothing brand essentially, and it is created on the basis of scarcity, and it was created by uh, Mary Kate and Ashley Olsen in 2006.
Oh, yeah.
It looks like the opposite of modern fashion marketing. No logos, no big influencer campaigns, no obvious branding. So it's kind of like you have to be in the in crowd to know what it is
And
because,
yeah.
and that's how they drive that core philosophy of luxury. So it's so essentially it's exceptional materials. I mean, that's kind of questionable, restrained design, and extreme attention to detail.
Yeah, and also and the fact that you just can't get it, so by its very nature so, I mean, this is such that's the complete opposite end of the scale to FMCG, whereby, it's you're very much holding back your supply to create the excess demand, and
100%.
people going on wait lists, so your marketing strategy and your go-to-market strategy is completely different, it's exclusive, it's so
Yeah.
high touch and
So
invitation only.
it breaks the traditional economic model. So if we go back to economics and supply and demand, most products follow a normal demand curve. So as price increases, demand decreases, not with luxury. So luxury behaves differently. So as the price increases, desirability can actually increase and the
Mm,
price itself signals that status. So the economics of luxury are built on high margins. So gross margins in luxury fashion can exceed 70%. However, though a lot of budget then is spent on marketing. And that's why I think
yeah.
luxury is such a, a great place for marketers because you get these big big budgets, you get celebrities, you get, these luxury shoots, in exotic places. The other foundations of luxury marketing is controlled distribution, so
Yes.
limited availability, maintaining that pricing power. I mean, I'm sure you've heard the stories of luxury brands that will burn and shred clothes rather than selling them at
Oh,
a discount.
absolutely, and that's
Yeah,
exactly right. They just take them out of the market, so that
yeah,
they absolutely so they're not giving the wrong perception. It's horrific from a sustainability perspective, but I can absolutely understand why.
yeah. The next one is brand equity over product utility. So obviously, the foundation was that utility, but you're not buying the leather, you're buying that belonging, that aspiration, that identity,
Yeah.
and that artificial scarcity. I mean, the classic is the Birkin bag. So Hermes doesn't simply sell a Birkin bag, it
You have to be
withholds them and it
chosen.
you have to be chosen, have to jump through hoops. Yeah. So the model only works if desire consistently exceeds availability. And so it doesn't, you can't just go into the market and, launch a $50,000 bag. You actually have to have that desire first. So that's a
Yeah.
hard thing. And that's why it's hard for new brands to launch into luxury.
Which is why the power of, and so like let's take that lens of like the use of an influencer, right? So particularly in the way, and I think a lot of when we talk about luxury marketing, a lot of that does fall into fashion, although there are luxury cars, etc. as well.
Yeah.
But you're very much your positioning play. So you can't, it's almost like you can't be the one to tell everyone how amazing your brand is. You actually need other people's endorsement, because it's the level of influence with the right people wearing your product or driving your car or wearing your watch sends a message to everybody else. So I think I mean, I'm sort of laughing at the moment thinking about royalty and how they used to be hugely
Well,
influential.
they are the original influencers. Like if you
Yeah.
think about it, influencer marketing is not new.
No.
Royalty used to be the influencers, then it was movie stars, then it was, sports people. So like a lot of things that have happened in the world, the celebrity has been democratized through social media and the internet.
And again, so this is where things can go really, really wrong. You choose nowadays, luxury houses would be distancing themselves from certain members of the royal family, for example, because it switched the other way. Like they've become,
Mm.
the economic conditions and society's expectations have changed. So
Hmm.
it's constantly reimagining where that influence is going to come from over time, because the people who may have been influential and aspirational 30 years ago, and if I'm a luxury brand, I need to be thinking about where am I going next? Who am I speaking
Mm-hmm. And so I thought it would be fun to apply the four Ps
to?
because this is a great way to explain it. And since we recently did the four Ps, so let's quickly run through how the four Ps apply to luxury.
Okay.
So they still apply, and I would argue
Well,
the
that's
four
good news.
Ps. So for product, this is kind of the obvious one. So the product isn't just the product; it is the product being the story. So it's story
Yeah.
plus craftsmanship. And so it must signal quality without explanation. It's details, it's materials, it's provenance. So luxury products are often timeless rather than trend led. So, you've got your key luxury staples. It's meticulously finished and it's backed by heritage narratives. So,
Yeah.
we were worn by French royalty or the Queen. We were chosen by the Queen. You've got the whole thing of that seal of, we supplied the British monarchy, etc. So,
Exclusively, and yeah, an artisan made, by the same family in Italy, and yeah, it's all of that's the storytelling.
But today we're seeing a tension now. So some of these luxury houses have overextended themselves into entry level products. So perfumes, key rings,
Oh.
canvas lines, where everything is branded, and that is actually weakening their brand.
Michael Kors is a good example of this, right? Because I feel like at one stage, Michael Kors was extremely premium, and the over licensing of that brand and the advent of large outlet stores. And let's not forget about counterfeiting, which we can get to. But,
Mm.
it's almost like you're right. You've broken the code of luxury, which is don't make yourself so readily available and
I would
particularly
say Michael Kors was never luxury. I think they
premium.
tried to
Yeah.
be, yeah, definitely premium. And there is a pyramid, which is your brand pyramid that has the different layers of luxury. I think the top is like Hermès and LV, and there's some other ones, but yeah, we'll see if we can share it. But the next P is price, and luxury pricing is essentially strategic theatre. So the price
Mm.
reinforces positioning, discounting destroys the mystique. And one of my favorite ab fab scenes is where they run that fashion shop and basically harass people if they ask for the price and shoo them out of the store. So that and there have been a lot of influencers doing um, campaigns where they will dress in a certain way and get turned away from the
Mm.
luxury store, kind of like Julia Roberts in
Oh, Pretty
what
Woman.
Pretty Woman. So
Yeah.
that the kind of playing out that thing, and that they get turned away from Louis Vuitton, and then they come back dressed head to toe in designer clothes and walk in, and I'm like, of course, what do you expect? And so brands, like there are some modern luxury brands. I would say RM Williams, maybe not luxury, but definitely premium. They don't
Yeah.
discount. they protect their long-term brand equity. The boots basically stay the same. They're not bringing
Yeah.
out, they do bring out seasonal and different leathers, and I think they've done some crocodile things. But, the problem now is this pricing fatigue, and post-pandemic price hikes have outpaced the perceived value, and customers are asking harder questions. And when quality doesn't rise with
Match.
that price,
Yeah.
people they get resentment against these brands.
And rightly so. And I think, and often what you'll see in luxury marketing is there is no price displayed or it's price on application. It very much
Mhm.
is by invitation only.
Yeah. So let's talk about place. So distribution is discipline, and luxury historically relied on flagship stores and prestigious locations. So
Hmm.
Fifth Ave, Collins Street,
Champs-Élysées.
Champs
Yeah.
Elysees. Yeah, we know where they are. These are high ticket real estate. They are premium. They are showrooms, and direct control is critical. So no wholesaling and no outlet stores. But now
Which,
we're seeing a
mm,
tension here too, because digital is democratizing access. It's giving price transparency, which we just talked about, and luxury is available online, on resale platforms, on Instagram, and accessibility drives volume, but it erodes that exclusivity.
just as a side note to that, and this is not a luxury brand that I've got in mind here, but it's a New Zealand brand called Ruby in fashion. And so it's not luxury, but it's similar concept. They discovered that there are a lot of their loyal customers, which luxury brands would have, reselling. There was this really hot market for people to resell Ruby clothing online. And so
Mm.
which is unusual in a fashion brand because, often once you wear it, you don't, because seasonally it might be out of fashion. But there was so much groundswell in the community of people selling secondhand Ruby clothing that they've now created that they've gone and done an official and that you can actually buy in their store not only new products but reworn and reloved. And so they've
That's amazing.
yeah, really, I thought that was really cool. So it's like kind of the people have spoken and they could see a need for it. And instead of just
Mm.
letting that go, they've turned that into another space in their store and they're managing secondhand,
How
secondhand.
amazing is that? I would
Yeah.
love to see more brands doing that, to do and tastefully restoring, like if RM's had, pre-loved boots, I'm sure people will be all over that. And it's a great opportunity for them to earn margin twice on a product and not send stuff to landfill. Brilliant.
Absolutely. And the other thing too, if you think about luxury handbags in particular, there's a huge ongoing market for that. Like sometimes the brands they live on for far longer outside of that single sale. In
Mm.
there's instances, Birkin's a really great example where an old style a pre-loved old style of a luxury item is sometimes more valuable than a new one. So yeah.
100%.
Mm. Sorry, keep
So
going.
then finally, final P is promotion. So luxury marketing, surprise, surprise, is not performance marketing. It is storytelling slash myth building. So it uses cultural association, celebrity and influence,
Mm.
art direction over product demonstration, and long-term brand storytelling. So it avoids overt selling. So it's not about, buy now buttons. It's like it dangles it in front of you.
Yeah,
Um,
and it's so and the channels are so different, right? Because you're really investing in like if you are somebody who's a regular purchaser of Louis Vuitton, like if you are a high value customer, you get customized attention. You get
mm,
sent flowers on your birthday. You get handwritten notes. You get invited to special, unique, individual experiences. Probably get invited to the F1 event.
exactly. But I think, however, many luxury brands have embraced social media and influencer saturation, and again, it's diluting that whole mystique and exclusivity. So, luxury brands are actually struggling. So many luxury houses are under pressure. There is a few key factors. Number one is overexpansion. So a
Mm.
lot of them grew really hard in China and the US, and they led aggressive store rollouts and price inflation. There's been a slowdown in aspirational consumers, so that middle tier luxury buyer is pulling back amongst the continued cost of living pressures.
Mm.
Overexposure, oh my God, logos everywhere, and products became too common.
Well, fair to say, Ben, wasn't there a huge expansion for some of these brands with as China's wealth grew? so exponentially did their desire to have, so a sign of external validation of wealth was to own a luxury brand, and that there was a period of time there where China was booming, but as it was exponentially growing and more people were becoming wealthy, they were investing in luxury brands. But are you
Mm,
saying that maybe that growth has slowed down now, and that's because it was a
definitely
global market?
slowed down.
Yeah,
Yeah. And then you've got resale transparency. So platforms like The Real Real expose the true market value. And when resale prices drop, perceived value drops as well. So again, if you've got that oversaturated resale market, people look, because some people buy these items to actually resell them or kind of buy them
mm,
as assets. They like never actually use them. They just keep them on the shelf and then, resell them at some later time. And then you've got a generational shift. So Gen Z values experiences, individuality, sustainability, and flashy status symbols are much less appealing. And some brands are seeing declining sales, rising inventory, and discounting creeping back in.
yeah.
So especially through back channels. So yeah,
I,
luxury cannot behave like mass expect to remain luxury. It doesn't work.
I always find this really interesting, and I've always wondered, and I don't have the answer to it, is what do you do if you are sitting in the Gucci head office or the Louis Vuitton head office, and you're like, they'll have sales targets just like everybody else. And so
Mm.
what do they do? Because normally in broad mass marketing, it is how do we get light buyers penetration? It's like how do we get more people to buy our brand? Well,
But that's not the luxury recipe.
no,
So
it's yeah.
the luxury recipe is a revenue model, yes, but not achieved through volume. It's achieved through scarcity, and essentially it isn't the typical model. And I think that's the problem that they're facing, is that they're trying to chase this growth, and typically that happens when you sell to a VC firm or someone like that. So a lot of these original brands, they came from very wealthy families. They were privately owned. Some of them are still privately owned,
Yeah.
and those ones typically will protect the brand at all cost over it hitting some sales target or number. As soon as that changes and you move to a more commercial model, it changes. It changes from let's remain a heritage luxury brand, and that's number one, and it flips to let's extract maximum value out of these assets, and
So
then you're quickly burning it down to the ground.
did you know that Mark Ritson has been a consultant to LVMH for a period of time? Were you aware of that?
Hmm. Yeah.
And even these luxury brands, I think this is really interesting because you always assume that they've been around for such a long time that they know their market and they know what they're doing. And he's often talked about that desire to how do you grow a heritage? Sometimes whilst having that strong heritage is part of your DNA, and that is what is making you have that positioning in market. I think inside the business, he's talked about going, well, that also presents a challenge because how do we take our heritage and if the market's moving in a certain way, how do we make sure that we're driving relevancy? Because it's still about, you've still got to recruit people, whether you're a luxury brand or you're a biscuit brand. You still have to
Hmm.
get people into the brand and how to do it. So I think in some cases, we've seen some of these brands internationally, not necessarily LVMH, but um, really kind of losing their way a little bit, maybe kind of in the 90s and early 2000s, and like you get different designers, and particularly in fashion, and all of a sudden the
Hmm.
brand takes a bit of a sideways turn, and and
Hmm.
and is completely ignoring its heritage and doing something completely different. I think Gucci's gone through some real highs and lows.
It has, yeah, and I think what is happening here is luxury is changing. So there, it's evolving in several ways. So the first one is quiet luxury, and we already talked about the row. So this is kind of like a logoless refinement.
Mm.
You know, the wannabe brands plaster their logo everywhere.
Oh yeah,
The quiet luxury is you have to be in the in group to know, and this is understated wealth signaling. So very minimalist. Then you've got experience over ownership. And a lot of luxury brands are now leaning into experience. And I think, the F1, the Australian Open is key to this. So this is luxury travel, dining, hospitality, these activations where you can buy a Louis Vuitton ice cream. This is
yeah.
you have to be there to consume it. You share it on social. It might be invite only. People want to attend Fashion Week, which used to just be the buyers of these
Mm.
fashion items. All of a sudden, Fashion Week, everyone wants to go along and be front row on the fashion show. Then the next one is sustainability as status. So you've got traceable materials, ethical production, craftsmanship, longevity, kind of that repairing and reusing. And then finally, hyper personalization, that bespoke service, the private clienteling, you're customizing that product so that you really have a one of a kind piece
Yeah.
from, either because you're buying actually uh, a custom design, which might cost a lot, or you're adding your own trinkets or embellishments to it and making it yours and unique. So
And
it's shifting from that visible consumption to more of a insider knowledge.
I love that, and I think that it is so inherently true in luxury, where it is a little bit. You've got to be in the club to really understand. Like, it is so like there was a really great scene, and I can't remember where it was from, but where someone turned up to a party and someone sort of sidelined and said her handbag's too big. She just can't be it. Like, if you walk into a luxury event and you've got a handbag that can hold everything, you very
Mm,
clearly aren't wealthy. Because
mm,
rich people don't need a whole lot of stuff to carry around. They have these tiny little handbags. And
mhm,
it was the kind of the premise of the skit going, oh, we can tell that she doesn't fit in because her handbag's the wrong size, let alone being
mm.
the right brand. So I think there's a whole lot of unwritten rules that you can easily wander straight into in this world of luxury.
And so Australia and New Zealand do have some great luxury brands. I think there's maybe a bit of an argument whether they're luxury or premium.
Mm,
But some of the Australian ones, which we have already talked about, are in Williams, built on heritage and durability. The boot is an icon. They have strong
yeah.
control of distribution and protected pricing. You've got Aesop,
Your favorite?
minimalist design. I love it. High price point, controlled retail environments, stunning, masterclass in premium positioning. Uh, and Pasquale, so they do
Oh,
luxury
yeah.
pearls, heritage storytelling, rooted in Australian waters, gorgeous.
Yeah.
New Zealand has some great ones as well, probably more on the fashion side. So we've got Zambezi, uh, avant-garde design, strong creative identity. Karen Walker, global recognition, really distinctive. Deadly Ponies, which is a new
Yeah,
one.
you can never get
Love
Deadly
Deadly
Ponies on
Ponies.
special. I'll give you that much,
Yeah.
and it's gotten a lot more expensive. So yes, I think that 100% is a status symbol in New Zealand. Done a
And
wonderful job.
leather craftsmanship, premium positioning, really good. So yeah, the luxury New Zealand and Australian brands often lead into that craftsmanship. The nature side, so obviously both countries known for their beautiful outdoors,
Mm,
and understated confidence, which you would argue is actually the recipe for new luxury, rather than that overt wealth signaling. Um, and on top of that, you've also got the fall of the luxury department store. And I think, we've
oh, I
seen
know. Mm,
Smith and Co. A great heritage luxury brand. These department stores were temples of aspiration. So Harrods, Selfridges, David Jones, Smith and Co.'s, like some of them still exist. But, they curated these prestige brands under one roof, and
yeah.
they controlled that essentially how those brands showed up. I actually recently went to Harrods and they have done a remodel and it is amazing.
Is it?
Absolutely amazing.
I bet it's
So
very experiential.
yeah, so Harrods kind of used to be a bit, I would say a little bit tacky and a little bit kind of weird. Their glow up, they have spent so much money on that spot. It is gorgeous. You have to go if you're in London.
Yeah.
But yeah, now they have to level up. Like otherwise, because you can get everything now on Instagram or on online. So what do these department stores have? So they have to become experiences.
That's right, and that's how you get people to part with their money, and that's how you build brand love, and really engaging with the brand, because you can buy something online, but that's not the tangible experience of going in and smelling the perfume and you know the one-on-one
Yeah.
service and the glass of champagne while you're buying something.
And discovering something new. And I like
Mm,
there are several forces that weaken those stores. So you've got brand owned boutiques. So a lot of brands want their own store, which with only their products, they control the whole experience. E-commerce, bypassing physical retail for that convenience factor, margin pressure from discounting, reduced foot traffic in CBD retail and those other
Queen
stores.
Queen Street in Auckland has suffered from that, and I do wonder about some of those sites. Like, I feel like they are trading potentially off, you know, cruise ship income, because I don't know
Exactly.
that there are many New Zealanders or Aucklanders walking down Queen Street
So
necessarily.
the real question, can luxury stay luxury? And I think luxury only works with discipline, and it requires restraint over growth, right, in terms of volume growth, control over distribution, confidence in
Yeah.
pricing, relentless product integrity, and that cultural relevance without ubiquity. That many brands are chasing these shareholder expectations, and they're just essentially ruining the brand. So yeah, really exciting space, and to see luxury changing. And let's be honest, there is a lot of money, especially behind brands like that LVMH collective, big personal fortunes. So it will be interesting to see how they all play out.
I imagine it would be an incredibly high pressure environment. Now, so what I'm really interested, I wanted to take this into another angle slightly to talk about if you were a mid-level marketer and thinking about, like, if you're really, aspirationally desiring to get into luxury marketing. I thought I'd do a little bit of a deep dive into what would be a good, what sort of skills do you need, and what kind of what would you do if you wanted to get into that space. Interestingly, I think one of the things that I've always thought is you kind of have to, and this sounds terrible in this day and age, but I think there's an element there of looking the part too. So you
It's
couldn't,
it's
yeah,
Devil Wears Prada. I
yeah,
think the thing that a lot of people don't realize is a lot of these jobs are very underpaid as well. So
yes,
the brand is essentially what people aspire to. So the same way that you aspire to own Hermès and LVMH, the same way you aspire to work for them, because then your brand is attached to that brand. And because of that, a lot of these brands don't pay very well. So you're typically,
yes,
you essentially kind of need to come from money, because yes, you also have to look the part. Maybe you're getting your clothes off the rack or at a discount, but if you look at Devil Wears Prada, and we're excited to see the sequel come out, but it's not an easy or particularly luxurious life. It's a lot of long hours, especially
yeah,
if you're working international. You're having to, be at a fashion show. You're clocking in at 5 a.m. You're clocking out at 10 p.m. and then you're going on to drinks afterwards. So it's like
yeah.
it's a relentless lifestyle. It looks glamorous, but it's hard work for not very much money.
And I think in terms of attributes that you'd want to have, you'd want to be really good at client service. So you just have, like, there's so much high touch involved in luxury marketing that you almost, I think there'd be a higher degree of psychographics to some extent. So really understanding the psyche of your customer, knowing how to almost anticipate what they were going to ask for and what they were going to need. And that
Mm.
you really are, it's so much more one-on-one. It's not, and I think from a temperament perspective, you'd want to be able to focus on the long term, not just, it's not just one and done, one to many. It's very much ongoing personal services, and you've got to enjoy that as opposed to just going, I want to get an ad out and send it to everyone and then I'm all sorted.
Yeah, and definitely it's not performance marketing. So
No.
the skills they're looking for, and it's definitely that ego play. These are it's personalities that work for these brands. The to get in, you have to be, and I'm highly generalizing here. You have to be eccentric, you have to be, high performer, look amazing potentially, or at least have, your own personal sense of style, and be, you have to want it. I think that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like if you want to be
Yes.
in fashion, hugely competitive, you have to really want it and love it, because it's hard.
Yeah. And I would imagine, this is just my opinion. I think you want to be really closely, you need to have a close personal values alignment with the brand that you choose to work for, because I think that the two go much closer hand in hand than they do when you are selling a commodity. It's so much more
Mhm.
high touch that you want to be more involved, and you want that brand to, you want to feel like you believe in the mission and the purpose of that brand, I think, far more than a commodity item.
Yeah. So I say give it a go. I mean, a good way to work. I'm always a fan of starting from a customer facing role. I've worked for a number of brands. In my career, I have worked for Abercrombie and Fitch when they were on Regent Street in London. And I've done a bit of work for Selfridges, and I've worked for a number of fragrance brands. And I loved it. It was good fun, and a lot of it is because I was in customer facing roles and getting to talk to customers. I think it's a great place for anyone to start their career is in the front of the shop. And it's a
Yeah.
great way for you to understand the customer, the product, the brand, and how at least the physical channel of marketing works.
Yeah, I agree. And a bit of experience in, putting on customer experiences and events and things like that and hosting. I think all of that stuff wouldn't go astray if you were thinking about getting into any form of premium marketing or luxury marketing.
Brilliant. Well, this has been fun.
Yeah.
I hope you've been educated in marketing and luxury marketing.
Luxury marketing, Ben.
Yes. But
Yes.
have a great rest of the week.
You too. See you later, Ben.
Thanks, everyone. Can the Marketing Podcast is brought to you by Human Digital and Q Marketing. Our editor is Bruna Barbosa. New episodes drop weekly, so tell your friends and colleagues.
If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you follow and subscribe to Canned wherever you listen. Apple, Podcasts, Spotify, and if you want the full visual experience, check us out on YouTube.
See you next week.